Hello everyone and welcome to The Good Old Gamer. Happy Friday to everybody out there, and if you're here in the States, hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. So over the past week, we've gotten quite a bit of pretty interesting news topics to talk about in today's video. We're going to be leading off with a big one. Intel is planning yearly releases with their new graphics GPUs that they're going to be coming out with, which is really awesome and is going to put a lot of pressure on NVIDIA and AMD to counter. AMD raising prices yet again, go figure, and a bunch of other stories that we're going to go into in this video. We're also going to take a look at a couple of really good Black Friday deals going on, so make sure you don't miss it. But before we get into it, today's video is sponsored by AliExpress. AliExpress was kind enough to send over this Tron Smart Qualcomm-powered Onyx Prime headphone set for me to test out and let you guys know how good these little guys really are. So these are brand new over at AliExpress, so they wanted to go ahead and give these guys a fair shout just in time for the holiday season. So opening up the package, this is a very hefty, very well-crafted box. It feels very premium, like a very premium product, just like the last ones that we tested. Inside comes with all of the usual suspects. You have a very nice magnetically sealed carrying case for the headphones, which is great. This also doubles as the charger. It comes with the warranty book, instruction booklet, that sort of stuff's pretty straightforward. And of course, it comes with a USB-C to USB Type-A cable. And this is used for charging. So after messing with these for a few days, I can definitively say that these are great headphones. Just like the last ones, the Qualcomm chip is very high quality. You get great audio, great bass, and there are no drop connections between your device, which is, for me, that's the key. I want something that's going to be nice, clear. You don't get that kind of buzzing, that sort of noise in there. So these, just like the last ones, also very, very good. Now, what's really nice about these guys are they're coming in at a very, very heavily discounted price point. So right now, AliExpress is also going to give you an additional $5 off any purchase over $50. So to take advantage of that, all you have to do is use the promo code SALETECH at checkout, and you will receive an additional $5 off already the heavily discounted price of these headphones because of AliExpress's global holiday festival that they have going on right now. So if you want to take advantage of those, links are down in the description below. These are great for gifts. These are great for yourself if you're going to be using any sort of devices that use Bluetooth. Things like Steam Deck, like I mentioned in the last one, is a great example, or any sort of mobile device that you will be taking with you. And they also work very well even with a PC if you want more discreet headphones. So go ahead, click that link down in the description, and now back to our video. All right, so kicking things off, Intel could launch 4th generation Arc Druid GPU series already in 2025. So if you guys are counting, if we have Alchemist in 2022, then Battle Mage in 2023, Celestial in 2024, Druid in 2025 would indicate a yearly release cycle for Intel. Now, granted, this is not confirmed, this is just coming from a leaker out there, but at the same time, this does seem to make a lot of sense when you think about it. With Intel being the new kid on the block in the GPU segment, they're really going to need to put pressure on AMD and NVIDIA, and the easiest way for them to really show everybody that they're serious about this market is to bring out as much technology as fast as they possibly can. So everybody out there going, well, this is impossible. Why would they release them so quickly? It's because they have to gain market share and they have to try to compete. We're all expecting Alchemist to basically be them just dipping their toe in the water. We're not expecting a huge amount of shipments, as obviously their supply was determined at least a year ago at TSMC 6 nanometer. So we're not expecting them to flood the market with GPUs this time around. But Alchemist is more for people to understand that, hey, this is how Intel GPUs work. Things like XeSS, get that implemented into games, getting their software in there, and basically using the community as beta testers to figure out issues for Intel's driver team to fix them. And then Battle Mage will likely be a big step up, becoming a real competitor with AMD and NVIDIA, unless AMD runs away with it with MCM. But, that gives Intel time to kind of figure out, hey, all right, we're going to need MCM of our own to compete with something like that if AMD really does hit it straight out of the park. But at the very least, they can see where these guys land, and I think they're going to be much more competitive. Celestial's the one that I think that they're really going to start gunning for the performance crown. By the time Druid comes out, I think they're hoping that they'll be fully integrated into the market. XeSS will become the standard. Their drivers will be ironed out, and then they can really make the major push with that one. And this just makes a lot of sense. And if AMD and NVIDIA aren't planning on countering and coming out with new architectures every year, they continue to do the every other year approach that they have been, this is going to allow Intel to gain ground a lot faster. So by the time we see the 5000 series from NVIDIA, we'll probably go ahead and see 4 generations of Intel, and that's how I think that they're going to catch up. And this is going to put a lot of downward pressure on Radeon and GeForce to go ahead and maybe step up their timetables and bring out faster GPUs quicker than they were anticipating. So I think that this is a good thing. If this is true, the more pressure that are put on these companies, the better it's going to be for us. Hopefully the supply issue thing starts to wane next year. I think we're all expecting middle of next year it should start going away. And hopefully by the end of next year, things will be good. But we'll wait and see. I'm very excited to see what Intel has here. And just having extra pressure on Radeon and GeForce or AMD and NVIDIA, that's a good thing. These guys need a kick in the pants, and if Intel's going to be the company to do it, good. So I'm pretty happy about that. All right, so speaking of a kick in the pants, AMD jacking up prices another 10%. If you guys saw the Techonomics podcast that we did on Thanksgiving, which is yesterday as of recording, we did talk about this, Paul and I, so you can check that out if you want a deeper discussion into this, as I have a lot of thoughts as to what's going on and how the GPU market's going to react. But at the end of the day, is this really any surprise? Graphics card prices continue to go up, regardless of what crypto's doing, and AMD just wants to take their cut. Let's be honest, they just don't want the AIBs making monstrous margins that might even be higher than their own. This is obviously unfortunate, as graphics card prices are just crazy. I was looking at RTX 3060s for Video Enhance AI, the Topaz Lab software that I like to use. That's going to be a great GPU for me, and it shouldn't cost a fortune. But they're about $850 now. So I'm like, well, we're not doing that. I'm not going to lie, if it was somewhere around the 500-ish range, I would at least entertain it. I probably still wouldn't have bought the thing. But at the same time, it would literally cut down my workloads by about 75%. So instead of something taking 5 days, it would take maybe a day and a half. So for me, this would definitely be worth the investment. But once we get up to astronomical, ludicrous prices like $850 for what's essentially a high entry-level graphics card or a low mid-range graphics card, depending on how you want to look at it, regardless, that it's just crazy. So AMD raising prices again. Like I said, this is going to be on their bill of materials. According to the article, it's only like 20, 30 bucks, maybe 50, whatever. It's just 10% on what like Gigabyte and Asus and those guys are paying. And you know those guys aren't paying thousands of dollars for these things. So 20 or 30 extra dollars doesn't sound like a big deal. But when they pay 20 or $30, they're going to charge an extra 40 or 50. Then the distributors, then they're going to charge probably an extra 50 or 60. And then, you know, the retailer might jack things up another 10% as well. So at the end of the day, you and I will probably be paying 10% more over the already inflated prices. So yeah, that's just the way things go. It's unfortunate, but realistically, AMD is going to continue to do this until they stop selling product. And when's that going to happen? When crypto falls apart. Because even if gamers don't buy these things, there's more than enough people out there mining crypto. You guys watching this, you might mine crypto as well. Actually, I'd say at least half of you do. So it just is what it is at this point in time. It's unfortunate. Prices are going to continue to go up. This is why Intel putting downward pressure on these companies is a good thing. So I'm doing this like the compliment sandwich. We started off with good news, then there was bad news, now there's more good news. So now Steam Proton supports NVIDIA DLSS, and this is with Proton version 6.3-8. So I'm assuming this is the latest version for Linux. And this is just another good sign that Valve is very interested in making sure that Linux is a viable gaming platform. Now, if you guys saw my video from last Sunday, I basically said Linux isn't quite there yet. And this is very true, but it doesn't mean that Valve's not going to try. Obviously, Gabe's not really a fan of Microsoft and Windows. I don't blame him, neither am I. I really wanted Linux to work. I spent about a month trying to get games to work and doing things that I thought you guys would be very interested in, but I just kept hitting problems. And that for me was like, okay, I gotta let the guys know it's not quite there yet. However, this is another step in the right direction. If Steam and Valve can go ahead and get the vast majority of games out there running properly, whether that's by pre-building shader caches, which I know that they are doing with certain games, so that micro-stuttering issue I was talking about won't be an issue in certain titles on certain GPUs because of the work that they are already doing. But it's going to be a huge task. They can't do this for literally every game, and it's just going to be one of those things where it's going to take a long time before the parity on Linux and Windows is there. However, since they're making this huge investment, I do believe that Valve is going to get a lot of developers now making native Linux ports, and that would be the best possible outcome from this. They invest all this money to get older stuff, kind of like what Microsoft did with their backwards compatibility, get most of the old games that people want up to date and running on the modern hardware. Same thing with Steam and Valve, get all the old games that most people are going to want, get those running well, and then have developers shift over and start natively porting their games over regularly for things like the Steam Deck. And then they don't have to continue all that extra work into the future. They can just continue fixing their backlog. Like I said, it could very much work out like what Microsoft's doing with their Xbox backwards compatibility. And I think that's a good thing. With DLSS coming over to Linux, it's just another sign that Steam and Valve, they're super serious about making this work. And my hat's off to them. I will continuously check up on Linux every few months, probably twice a year type of thing, until it gets to a point where I'm like, yes, now we're good to go. The biggest thing is you will be locked into the Steam ecosystem with all of these Proton versions, these custom Proton versions, and these pre-cached shaders. If you wanted to run games like on GOG and whatnot, they're not going to have that via Lutris. So you are still going to be put into kind of a walled garden, much like Xbox or Sony PlayStation. So it's both a good and a bad, but once we start getting the native Linux ports, I think it'll be more tolerable. If we have 10 years of all games having a native Linux port, I think for a lot of people, that'd be good enough. And hardware at that time should be able to push through older games. So I'm really excited to see where things go. And this is just another good indicator that I think we're on the right track with Linux. All right, so the last story I want to touch on is the RX 6900 XT Liquid Cooled Edition launching for the DIY market in Europe. Now, to me, this is just kind of ironic because the Techonomics podcast last Saturday, we had Ivan from Frame Chasers on, and he was saying how badly he wanted to get his hands on one of these. And now they're finally hitting the DIY market officially. So for you guys that don't know, this is the super binned, they said pre-binned, but trust me, this is super binned. This is the best of the best of the best Navi 21 XTX-H GPU cores. So this is literally the top of the line. I really wish that they just call this the 6900 XTX, and you could just drop the liquid cool part and all the rest of that, because that's what it is. It's the most premium version of the chip. The biggest difference between this and a standard 6900 XT is it comes with faster GDDR6. And we know that with the 256 memory bus, memory bandwidth can at times under certain circumstances become a limitation for the Radeon cards. So bumping it up by 2 gigabit, that's pretty significant. And then obviously you have the higher power draw straight off the bat. Of course, you can just use power play tables and get this bad boy running just as fast. But regardless, the memory should clock higher on overclocks, and a lot of super enthusiasts that really want to test the maximum limits of the AMD hardware are going to be interested in this. Now, I don't see this being some major GPU that everybody's going to want. This is going to be for those very, very niche people out there that actually play 3D Mark, much like Paul over at Not an Apple Fan. He plays 3D Mark more than he actually plays games. Or Ivan from Frame Chasers, or that could be you. This might be your thing. You just like the benchmarking. You like to push things to its absolute maximum. Now, AMD is giving you the option to get your hands on the best of the best. Now, according to the article, it should be somewhere around $2,000, and they're going to be in super limited supply. So the $2,000 price tag, is anybody really surprised by this? I mean, in today's market, that's probably considered halfway decent. I always figured that they would launch it regularly at retail at that price point, but I'm assuming they just can't make enough of these because they are so binned that they just figured we'll just kind of trickle them out when we can. Regardless, this is not a card for everybody, obviously, but if you do happen to fit in that market, might be worth checking out. Now, granted, this is only in Europe, and if you're here in the US, I don't know. Go find a friend in Europe and see if they can ship it over to you. That's really all I got for you guys on that one. But I just found it interesting and ironic that we literally were just talking about this less than a week ago, and poof, here it is. So I just wanted to bring that one up. All right, so if you are watching this on Friday, the day I am launching this, it is Black Friday. You know that there are deals everywhere. But what deals make the most sense? And I picked one for the deal of the day that just hands down to me seems like the smartest choice if you're out there and you're like, hey, I want a game or I want to start building, getting ready for next year, and I want to take advantage of the deals today. And in my opinion, right now, the best deal is the Ryzen 7 5700G, brand new, of course, coming in at $280. Now, these were available on Amazon earlier, but they were already sold out, so that's gone. They are available still here on eBay, so this is where I'm going to put links if you want to pick these up. Now, the reason why I'm saying that this is going to be my recommendation is, number one, this is $70 off. They were $350, or I guess $360 is what they have listed. So $70 to $80 off, which is pretty good. Before today, they were already discounted down to $310. So this is another basically 15%-ish off of that price point. So that's pretty good. And realistically, this is going to fit right in between something like a Ryzen 7 3700X and a 5800X in terms of CPU performance, but you will get a halfway decent integrated graphics that you can use to get by until GPUs kind of hit the price points that you want. Now, what's the point of having a gaming PC if there are no games to play? So here we're going to take a look at my pick for game of the day. Now, I've recommended this on the channel before, but this is such a great game, I want to bring it up again. This is Battle Chasers Night War. I'm checking it out over here on GOG, of course, which you can get at DRM free, which is obviously going to be the best way to go. Now, this game right here, this is a fantastic old school RPG. This is a turn-based RPG. A lot of people I know don't like those, but a lot of you do. So if you're a fan of things like Super Mario RPG, Chrono Trigger, those type of games, this is going to be right up your alley. Now, in terms of story, I'm going to say it's not really the best. It's more of a very atmospheric game. You get sucked into the world. The characters are likable. The gameplay is really where it holds you, though. The battles and the way that they play out are very, very good. They take the old school formula and improve upon it greatly. And just walking around with the dungeons and everything, like I said, it's very atmospheric. And the music is also key here. It really fits the game. And like I said, it really sucks you into the game world and makes you care about these characters. And yeah, I just had a great time playing it. I played it last year, start to finish. You got legendary weapons to search for and all sorts of cool stuff. So you probably get about 20 to 30 hours out of the game. So it's not super long, but you definitely get a good playtime out of it. Well, alrighty guys, that's really all I have for you here today in this video. If you liked the video, please smash that like button, please subscribe, please share with friends. That really does help me out. Links to everything we were talking about down in the description below if you want to check any of that stuff out for yourself. And as I said, it's really all I have for you here today. I'll catch you guys in the next video.